Year 6, welcome to your history lesson on Monday the 8th of February. Today we're going to look at how World War II affected and changed everyday people's lives in Britain. So here we have a very iconic poster. I want you to shout out to the screen, who is this man that's on this poster? Yeah, you're right, Winston Churchill, who became Britain's Prime Minister and led Britain to their victory in 1945. And here we've got this message, let us go forward together. And I thought this was just a really nice poster to have on our first slide when we're talking about what we're going to look at today, which is the home front. So how everyday people played a really significant and important part in World War II. So I'm going to talk us through what we're going to do today and then look a little bit at what the home front was. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at how, as I said earlier, World War II had a major social and cultural impact on the British people. Now, this means that it affected their everyday lives. It affected what people did, how people ate, how people behaved, and also, culturally, how people interacted and how those things changed significantly because of some of the measures that were put in place by the British government during World War II. So we're first going to look at what the home front was and how it was an important part of World War II. And then I'm going to leave you to get on and look at 5 different major government campaigns for the home front and think about how these changed the lives of British people. So for these 5 different campaigns, you're going to look at some more propaganda posters. So remember some of the posters we looked at a couple of weeks ago that were all about collecting scrap metal, paper, bones and rags? Well, these posters are looking at different campaigns, but that are very similar. So they were asking the British people to do different things, encouraging them to do different things. So for each campaign and for the posters, I want you to spend a few minutes thinking. So this time you can just think, look at the posters and have a think. Talk to somebody if you've got somebody else there with you. But if not, just think to yourself, maybe make a few notes if you'd like to. But you don't need to write down the answers to these questions. But what I want you to think about is this. What can you see with each group of images? What does it tell you about what the government wanted people to do? What is the message of these posters? I've grouped the five campaigns with their posters. So each group of posters has the same message, encouraging people to do something. And finally, I want you to think about this. What impact did this campaign have on people's lives? How did it change their lives? Once you've looked at those 5 campaigns and thought about those questions, which, as I said, shouldn't take you more than, I think, about 15 minutes, what I'd like you to do is to choose one of those campaigns and to do some further research on that. So at the end of this, we'll see that there are some additional slides, repeated slides with the same photographs or same posters. But each of these slides also has some information related to that campaign. So you need to select at the end of the slides that we'll look at in a moment, which campaign you'd like to focus on and begin researching this. So as I said, there's information on the slides and also some links to some video for some of the different campaigns. So first of all, what was the home front? Well, the home front was what everyone had to do at home to help support the troops overseas, the British troops that were fighting in Europe and internationally as well. So actually, some of these measures started a year before war actually started. The government was already thinking about what major changes might take place and how this might threaten and disrupt. That means change and affect the lives of the civilians, everyday people back at home. And there are a number of different ways that this happened and different ways they were affected. One of the ways was something that we looked at quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, was the evacuation, which we know was organised and took place a couple of days before war even was declared. People were needed on the home front to help with lots of different things, to help support the government and support the country to get through the war. They were encouraged to do lots and lots of different activities related to growing food, rationing, collecting different resources and materials. And they were also recruited for lots of new positions. So we had air raid wardens, that were in charge of making sure everybody got to their shelters. You also had wardens that were in charge of making sure that people had their blackouts in place. And also, because so many men went away to fight, I think huge numbers of men between the ages of 18 to 41 went away to fight and serve the country. Women then had to take their place and take their role in the workplace. And that obviously had a huge impact, huge social impact on the British public. Also, people were encouraged to think about their safety because obviously we had the air raids, there was the Blitz and the blackouts. And there was also the threat of some gas attacks. So the government wanted to make sure that they were sharing their knowledge and sharing their advice with the British public, just as we spoke about when we looked at the propaganda posters a couple of weeks ago. So the 5 different campaigns, I'm just going to look at them very briefly with you and then let you pause the video and go and have a little look at them yourself. So here, we've got one of the campaigns, the first campaign. So answer these questions. And these are the same questions for each campaign we're going to look at. You've probably already recognized this one. It's a very famous one. I'm going to make myself a bit smaller, move myself. There you go. So second campaign, again, this is something you may have already looked at a little bit or know something about. It relates to some of the work we've done already related to pickling. Another campaign here, again, a very, very important social change that took place during this period. Our fourth campaign, again, these may be slogans that you've heard before or posters that you recognise. And our final and fifth campaign, this one's related to that safety message the British government were trying to share with the people. So once I've stopped this video, go back and look at those 5 slides carefully, answering those questions either out loud with somebody, making a few notes, or just to yourself, thinking about what can you see in each image? What does that tell you that the government wanted people to do? And what impact did those measures, did those things they were doing have on people's lives? And at the end of that, I want you to then look at this slide and think about, you now need to choose one of those campaigns to look at in more detail. So here are the 5 campaigns: the Dig for Victory campaign, rationing, women in the workforce, make, do, amend, and finally the blackout. So choose one of those 5 propaganda campaigns that you will have looked at in a little more detail to then research further. And you can see here, just along the side, we've got the five more slides that have that detailed information. Some of them have just written information about that particular campaign, and some of them have some video links that will help you to have do a little bit more research on them. So I'm going to stop now and let you get on with your history for today. I'm really excited to see what you think and to see which campaign you choose to do more research on. Now, I will tell you that the campaign that you choose will help you with some of your writing at the start of next term, when we're going to look at writing and creating a script for a propaganda video. So we talked about this when we looked at propaganda earlier in this term, or this half term, that not only were there these fantastic posters that were put everywhere in these propaganda campaigns, but the government also used film. So we would like you, after half term, and Mr. Hampson and Mrs. Hattrick will tell you a little bit more about this when you come back after half term in your videos for writing. But we would like you to write a propaganda script. So the research you start today, we want you to keep hold of those notes for you to then use as your campaign for your propaganda video when you come to do your writing after half term. So as I said, keep hold of these notes, start your research. You might think actually over half term, you might have a morning where you've not got much to do and you'd like to do a little bit more. You might really get into it. This could be something you carry on with on your flexible Friday. But we'll also give you some time to do this research when we come back and the first week back after half term. So I look forward to seeing what you choose and what areas you like to research. And I look forward to seeing your work as well. Okay, have a great afternoon. Bye.